that information come from the company that disposes?
Well, it came from a combination, and Joe can be specific if you want that, but I mean, it is different in each of the cases where the information came from. Tell them where it came from.
It came from both Planned Parenthood and AccuWaste. In requesting documents from Planned Parenthood, specifically where do they dispose of their aborted fetuses, they provided to us AccuWaste and Stericycle. One of our investigators spoke with the vice president of AccuWaste, who confirmed AccuWaste, of course, services Central Ohio, Cincinnati, and Columbus, Central Ohio. Confirmed to us that after the autoclaving procedure, the fetuses end up in a landfill. So it was confirmed through a company official.
Mike, I haven't read this whole release, but I saw Planned Parenthood said, not true, shame on the Attorney General for coming up with this conclusion. What's your response to that?
Wow, I mean, I think the evidence is pretty strong that this is, and it came from, part of it came from Planned Parenthood, that this is how they're being disposed of. So, I mean, look, people shouldn't read any more into this than exactly what we're saying. You know, I think Ohioans will be shocked when they find out tonight that fetuses from abortions are being cooked and then put into landfill to mix in with all the other garbage that's out there. I think it's just wrong. And, you know, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I just think it's just dead wrong.
Do you know whether these two companies also serve other abortion clinics in the state?
I don't know that.
How quickly do you plan to file for these injunctions?
I would anticipate the paperwork will be done by Monday.
Your opponents are saying you're doing this because it's political, that you want to run for governor someday, that you're seizing a political opportunity. Can you answer that accusation?
Well, look, you know, we call it like we find it. You know, this is what we found. We found no evidence that Planned Parenthood, any of the 3 sites in the state of Ohio that perform abortions, that any of them are selling fetal tissue or the part of a fetus. That's what we found. We also found that these fetuses are being disposed of in landfills. So, you know, we're just saying what happened, what the investigation found. You know, we do investigations in this office every single day, and I'm proud of the team that we have, this charitable law team, which doesn't usually stand up here with me. We're usually doing some other section of the office, but they did a good job in the investigation.
But is Ohio actually unique in the way that these Planned Parenthoods dispose of
Oh,
this?
I would have no idea.
I mean, you know, 49 other states do Planned Parenthood.
Well, let me just say, let me just make it real clear. If 49 other states Planned Parenthood is doing this in, I still think it's wrong. And I still think it's offensive. And I still think most Ohioans will think it's wrong. And I think the representatives of Ohio through the legislature will take action so that this no longer continues. What else? Okay.
How long was the investigation, and what type of elements, other than talking to Planned Parenthood
Sure.
and the vendors, what else did you comb
Joe, you might as well
through?
stay up here.
The investigation began late July, early August, so roughly four months. It was basically, it's relied on what we had asked from Planned Parenthood, and it's relied on what Planned Parenthood has submitted to us.
What were you asking for?
The records that I referred to early on, disposal companies and so forth for this issue.
And in the course of the investigation, you also had contact with the disposal companies, too.
Correct. 2 officials, 1 official from each.
How did you
AccuWaste.
stumble on this when you were investigating something else?
Just examining the records that Planned Parenthood had provided to us. I mean, we relied on what they gave to us. If they're telling us something different, then it's, you know, from what they provided to us, we'll down the road. But based on what we saw in the records, and then, of course, in talking with the officials about where the fetuses are ultimately disposed of, because you know, the scope, the basic question that we wanted to try and answer is what is happening to the aborted fetuses? Where do they go? Because the question was, are they being sold? So we needed to answer the question, what is happening to them? And that's when we learned that at least some of them are being disposed of in landfills.
Joe, I know it's kind of nitty-gritty, but did you actually visit landfills to see physical evidence? You just saw it in the records that they said that's where they
And
ended
with
up?
the communication with the AccuMedical Waste official.
General or Joe, does anybody know if the vendors were disposing of these fetuses according to their own rules, whereas Planned Parenthood wasn't aware that they were doing that? In other words, is this a vendor issue? Could this be a vendor issue?
Again, as the general stated, it's the rule is humane disposition of the aborted fetuses. So initially, the responsibility is on Planned Parenthood to ensure that there is a humane disposition. Whether Planned Parenthood knew what Stericycle and AccuMedical Waste were doing with the fetuses, the responsibility
Maybe
ultimately
just
lies
like
with
And
the
you also have the strange thing that if you look at Cleveland and you look at Stericycle, the contract they've signed says no fetuses. But it's just, they said no fetuses, but yet we know that there are fetuses being disposed there. It's just,
And did you say you don't know where those went to? Is that right? The ones from the Bedford Heights?
that's my understanding, right?
Just don't know where they went, even though there was a contract, but
But the contract said no fetuses, so.
Yeah. But obviously they were
They were,
being
yes.
disposed of somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, they're disposed somewhere, and we don't know. And we know the two ways they prepare, something for disposal, but we don't know where that disposal is.
Does Kentucky have any rules about this, since the ones from Columbus and Cleveland were disposed in Kentucky?
I don't think we checked that.
Okay.
No, we didn't look in the Kentucky law.
Did you? You did?
We did not.
Did not?
We
Okay,
did not look in the
Okay,
Kentucky
did not,
law.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.